Okay. Well, hey, thanks for checking this out. It's been a little while since I've tried a live stream, so this hopefully this goes well. I'm gonna be watching the chat a little bit on my screen here. I just want to apologize ahead of time. There's it might not be the best resolution. It's not, and I might be dropping some frames. It's my internet connection. I've already dropped it to 720p, so hopefully it can handle it and it's not too frustrating. But I apologize ahead of time if it has trouble keeping that speed. Looks like it's having some trouble already. So I'm sorry about that. Okay, so thank you for checking this out. If you're one of my students, either one of my high school or my college students, thank you so much. I know this is weird that suddenly we just can't have class anymore. So I thought, hey, let's try doing live stream. If you are one of the subscribers from the channel, or you found this some other way, welcome as well. I'm gonna be watching this. So yeah, I'm watching the chat over here on my screen. So thank you, Ernest. Appreciate you letting me know what's going on, so I don't have to worry about that. But hopefully it's not too many blips. So my plan is Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm going to try and do a live stream. Might be a little bit different each time as I figure out what works and what doesn't work. I've tried live streams in the past that were later in the evening, and not very many people logged on. I don't know if that just wasn't a good time. So, but with me being at home and a lot of people being home, maybe this might work. I know I'm in Arizona, and we don't change time zones we don't change with daylight savings time. So when daylight savings times happens, we change time zones because we don't change our time. So right now I'm Pacific. So if this works for you, that's great. Otherwise, it might be hitting evening in the United States. I know we have people watch from all over the world, so this could be hitting you at just about any time. But yeah, welcome. Okay, so a little bit about me. I teach junior and senior English here in southeastern Arizona. I also teach at a community college here, and I've got classes, and they all suddenly went online and distance learning because Arizona's shutting down like much of the world for the coronavirus outbreak. So we're just trying to figure out how to keep rolling, even though our lives in large part have been put on hold. All right, Ernest is in Chicago. Welcome from Chicago. I was watching. I used to live in, 5-6 hours away, out in Akron. So, never got to spend much time in Chicago though. All right. So, what I thought we could do, if you have questions, I'd be glad to go through and answer anything. Otherwise, I figure I could do a video that kind of lines up with what I've been teaching in my English 102 classes. Now, English 102, it's here at the college that I teach at, and I also have a group at the high school taking it as well. They're working on research papers right now. They just submitted today they have research paper proposals due, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that, and then transitioning over to talk a little bit about what comes next for them. They're going to be writing some annotated bibliographies, so I'm going to be opening up Google Scholar, talk about how to find some stuff when it can be incredibly frustrating. So I'm going to be watching what's going on. If you have a question, I've got chat up on 2 screens, so hopefully I won't keep you waiting too long. I'm trying something new. I've used OBS in the past, which is a streaming software, but I haven't tried Streamlabs OBS, so that's a little bit new for me. So this is yeah, you can see me on 2 screens right now. All right. So you'll be able to see me as I go through Google Scholar. If you have questions, I'll hopefully see it in the chat, and we can go through this. All right. If you are a college student and you have to find sources for a paper, you may find that it's difficult at times. It's frustrating, and there's a couple reasons why. Not knowing how to narrow down your search so you find what you want, not knowing what you're searching for to find it, not having the right words so that what you're searching for gets what you want to find, and then limitations of access, right? If you're, say, a high school student and your high school hasn't paid for access to any sort of database with sources, you may be really limited. That's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at Google Scholar. Anyone can access this. It doesn't require special access, but you will hit a lot of paywalls when you're doing it. You're going to find stuff that you just can't get to because it is blocked. Because you got to pay, you got to log in, you need some sort of credential. If you are a college student and your college or university has paid access for online databases, which give you access to sources, that's fantastic. The process is going to be the same, but you may not be limited in the way that other people are. Okay, so let's look at Google Scholar. Hopefully you can see the screen okay. Google Scholar you can get to by going to scholar.google.com, or you just search Google Scholar. You'll get to the same place. This is going to look a lot like Google. It's search bar, but it's going to have a little bit, it's going to be narrowed down to look for certain kinds of sources. Let me be clear what I mean when I say sources. When I'm talking about sources, I mean we're looking for articles, books, data, research, some sort of content which you can use in your own research papers. So when I say sources, that's what I mean, right? It's a source of information for you to use. Now, specifically, I'm not going to be talking really about essays in this, because for an essay, the bar for what is a good enough source is going to be very different, right? You just need information that is relevant to what you have to say. You could be talking about what's the best, basketball player, and you're not going to have to find actual research. You just need to find some statistics and maybe someone's opinion, and maybe, I don't know, get an article off of ESPN or something like that. The bar for an essay it's lower. When we're talking about research, I'm talking about academic research. Research that hopefully is not biased, that is tested, that is peer-reviewed, that's going to stand up to criticism, right? There's also some differences in the approach for when we are producing research that really makes it a good source for people who are also conducting research, right? One of the biggest differences is research is not trying to be persuasive writing. Persuasive writing, you have kind of like an agenda. You want to change how people think, feel, believe, how they act. Research doesn't do that, because research has to be trusted. It has to be unbiased. And by being unbiased, we need to make sure that you're presenting information. Maybe you analyze, maybe you explain it, but you're not going as far as to say, this is now, because of this, you need to do this, 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 and this. That's a step that research doesn't typically take. A lot of times when we're reading news articles or something and we're seeing research, we're not looking at the original source. We're looking at someone who has read it and then they're sharing it with us. That is no longer at that same trust level, right? Because journalists, they may be writing an opinion piece where they're explaining, all right, here's a new article that says, wine's healthy. Here's another article that says wine is not healthy. You can find a lot of research that says just about everything depending on how you interpret it, right? And if you're looking at a source that's the interpretation of the research, you're getting it filtered, right? You're getting it through their version of what it says. I'm teaching you how to go find the actual research so that when you are writing your own research, you're looking at the good stuff that hasn't been filtered and that is still completely, hopefully, trustworthy. Okay? So let's explain peer review. Peer review is a process, and there's different kinds of peer review. There's blind, double-blind, whatever. Right? Peer review, basically, you have an organization, say, a publishing company, that is going to have certain rules for the quality that the research has to be. And when someone submits their research to them, they're going to ask experts in the field to check it. This is what we mean by peer review. To make sure that it's unbiased, they may not know the name. They may not know the gender. They may not know any information about the person who actually wrote it. That means that we're not... There's no room to think that it's sexist, it's racist, it's bigoted in any way, right? They're just looking at the work. Okay, is the work good? Is it quality? Do these, boom, 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 I don't know, 3 experts sign off on it, right? And if so, great. They give their approval, then the publishing company decides whether they're going to publish it or not. But it's gone through a rigorous process, which we call peer review. If you're looking at a database like Google Scholar, this is going to give you access to information which can be peer reviewed. It may also bring up like news articles. Let's talk about that. A news article, I'm just going to switch back here because it's... Anyway, a news article, it's going to go through a different process of review. You may have an editor who's double checking it to make sure it's accurate. There's no cause, there's no big lies. We have good sources and whatever. That's a good process to double check to make sure that things are okay. I'm not saying don't trust journalists, but their level of review is not at the same level that peer review is, right? And hopefully we can trust our news as well. Then there's a level below that where there's no real accountability. This is what we see in social media, what someone posts to their blog. When the person writing and the person editing are the same person, there's no one to double check to make sure that information is accurate, that there isn't any problems, that there aren't mistakes, that it's rigorous. So let's say we've got our social media, anybody can do it tier. We have our journalism or professional publication tier where they're going to double check things, but it's not as rigorous as boom, peer review. It doesn't mean that there can't be mistakes with the process, but what it means is hopefully you can just trust it, and as you look at it, that's not your biggest concern whether it's right or not. No. Okay, so that is a quick rundown on peer review. All right, I'm going to switch back here. Okay, so let's look at Google Scholar. Google Scholar helps you narrow down to hopefully some credible sources as you're researching a topic. Now, one of the things you have to understand about research is that research takes time. It's not always up to date. So if I'm trying to find research on COVID-19, there may not be a whole lot out there. Let's just search it, see what's out there. Okay, so these are all things that are being published as fast as possible And if I look at the time range, let's say I search 2020, 2019, I don't know that that's going to have a huge change. Okay, so we've got 14,000 results. This, as far as we know, has only been around since December. So it's going to be interesting what we're able to find. Okay, pathological findings of COVID-19 associated with acute respiratory distress syndrome. If I click on this, okay, so this was published in February, right? This is before things really hit the United States. Unless I'm mistaken, these names appear to be, Chinese. These were local researchers publishing their findings and putting it out to the world as quickly as possible. This is in English, which is really helpful for me because I don't know Chinese. But I can find, since late December 2019, an outbreak of a novel coronavirus disease. Novel meaning new. Coronavirus is kind of like a family of diseases known as COVID-19, previously known as 2019 nCoV. Was reported in Wuhan, China, and then it gives a little bit of a summary. You see that there's some citations here, and they have some data and some pictures, some charts, some graphs, and you can see what they found, and they back it up with some references. This is great. So if I'm trying to do something about COVID-19, it looks like there might be some stuff out there. But you also notice this technically isn't going to be published in print form until April. Oh, wait, that was yesterday. Yeah, April 1st. Okay. The research was 2 months old, though, so it's not going to be as up to date just because time, right? Now, you might be able to go to the New York Times or Washington Post and find an updated source there, and that'd be fantastic. They might have updated statistics, but it may not be the publication from a researcher. Okay? All right. Now, I teach English, and we're probably not going to be talking about COVID-19. Right now, my students, they are researching online learning, which suddenly became a really big deal when schools just went online. So let's take a look at what we might find. I've told them that their topic is the impact or the influence of technology on education. Obviously, right now, this is something that's really on our minds. This is an example of online education, me streaming a video from my house. So I wanted them to narrow things down. And so there's a lot that's going on. Some they want to look at, how effective online learning is, how this lines up with, say, standardized testing, maybe people with special needs, and so on. So there's a lot of good topics that they're looking at. The first thing I would encourage anyone to do is to narrow down your search. This is something I tell my students over and over. I say, look, when you're trying to figure out your topic, look for 3 layers of specificity, kind of like 3 different levels of things that you're narrowing down your topic to, right? So let's make up a topic. Let's say I want to look at how effective online learning is for high school students using Chromebooks, right? So we've got 3 different categories that we're putting together to create a topic. Online learning, high school students, Chromebook. So we've narrowed it down to a certain kind of learning, a certain group, and a certain device. That gives me now 3 categories to look at. Maybe I can find research that covers all 3, but I might also be able to find relevant research that's about online learning to kind of get background for what's going on. Something that talks about high school students that gives me some background for who's receiving this instruction, right? Who's participating in these activities. And then Chromebooks specifically. I might also find high school students who are, my fingers are getting mixed up, high school students who are working online, or high school students using Chromebooks, or high school students using Chromebooks online. There's there's so many different ways that I can search this topic when I narrow it down to 3 categories. Now, this may feel like, oh, Dr. Larson, you're making this too specific. No, I'm not. Because you really have nothing to focus on until you get specific, right? But this is a way to get specific. You can take boom, 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 3 different things. And suddenly there's a little bit more to look at and a little more to say, right? So try that. I'm going to search. Okay, let's talk about Boolean operators. I think I'm using the right term. Basically, it's ways to narrow down a search engine search so that you find what you want. Google Scholar has different ways to narrow down what we're looking for. Again, hopefully they're peer-reviewed. But I can search online learning. If I put it in parentheses, it's only going to show me where those 2 words show up in that order. I'm going to hit enter. 18,800 results. So you can see it. Hopefully you can see it right there. But I'm going to take this off, and this would search both the words online, the word learning, and online learning. So if I search that, now almost 73,000 results. This is why we want to narrow down the search. So I can search online learning, or more specifically, I'm just going to say e-learning. There's no need to, it's one word. Okay, e-learning, high school, I'm putting that in parentheses to keep those 2 words together instead of searching them separate. And Chromebooks. All right, so I've searched it. Now I'm down to 145 results. Cool. We went by narrowing things down from 73,000 results, which there's no way we could ever go through everything, down to being 145 results. But hopefully, and not all of these are going to be what we want, but hopefully we've saved ourselves some time, and now we just have to pick and choose between good stuff. So here's some of the great things about. Here we go. All right. So I zoomed in. You can narrow down by date and range. I clicked since 2019. I can click since 2019. Now there's 18 results. Let's go to 2016. That gives me a few years. But when we're talking about something, especially with technology, it's time may matter a lot. So narrowing down your time frame is good. I don't want to include patents. That has nothing to do with me. Okay. 459 results because we added a few more years. All right. Education, e-learning, and the classroom experience. From the title, I can't tell what it is, but this is what I can tell. This is a PDF from CA. Is that Canada? Maybe? I could be wrong. It says Ontario, so maybe I'm on track. All right. J.B. Daniels is the author. Looks like that's Bo Daniels, who has a bachelor's degree, talking about this. 2017. I can tell without even opening this up a little bit of information. Who wrote this? I got a little bit of a snippet view, and I can tell, okay, this is worth checking out. I don't know. But let's find a title that sounds a little bit more on track. Utilizing Chromebook in Ontario Elementary Schools Teachers' Perspectives. Okay, so they're using Chromebooks. Great. In elementary schools, that's not my area yet. And it's teachers' perspectives. This can tell me one thing. All right. They've asked teachers what teachers think. This is not so much about student performance. This is whatever. The way they measured the information is they asked teachers and teachers shared. So there was some sort of survey conducted, right? I can tell this is 2019, but it's the wrong age group. Now, does this mean it's completely wasted? No. This might be relevant to me a little bit. So here's some tools that we can use in Google Scholar and maybe similar things like this. I've got other databases. You've got a STAR, a question mark, related activities, different versions, right? Underneath, I can see the save. I can click save, and what it's going to do is it's going to keep a copy of this link under my library. Okay, so if I click on my library, now you're going to see the sources popped up here, along with a few others that I've done with other video testing out. Okay, so I'm going to back up now. This is saved. If I click off of this, it'll disappear from my library. But this is a great source, because if I just want to go through and say, all right, I'm going to look at all these later. I'm going to go boom, 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 boom. I'm going to keep this, not keep this, keep this, keep this. Then when I go to my library later, I can get rid of some of these others that I don't need. All right, when I select it, it gives me the option to delete, to export, or narrow it down with label. I'm going to just hit delete. I don't need those. Right now, I'm just working on this. Okay, so I'm backing up now. All right, let's keep going. Teacher perceptions of the technology integration professional development in a one-to-one Chromebook environment. Ooh, okay, so right here. This is telling me high school teachers, one-to-one Chromebook. That's probably going to have something that's relevant to me. I can see the author's name. This was found it from ProQuest, which I may not be able to have access to. And this is published through a .org FAU. That might be Florida Atlantic. That might be something different. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It does say PDF. So we'll see. Yeah, Florida Atlantic. Okay, so we had actual access to the original document. Eleonora Yankovic. Maybe I ruined the name. I don't know. This is a dissertation. Okay, so let's understand what a dissertation is. A dissertation is a rigorous study where a student trying to become a doctor goes through a rigorous process where several people overlook their work until finally they conduct an experiment, it's proved, and it's published. So this is how Eleonora Yankovic became a doctor. I assume she conducted this experiment. Yes, a partial fulfillment of the requirements of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, right? So, to become a PhD. This is not peer-reviewed. Now, what's the difference between a dissertation and peer review? It's just a step below, right? Dissertation, it's probably more work than normal peer review. But they don't consider it the same equivalent. So like my dissertation, I would have said the same thing. It wouldn't be considered peer-reviewed. You can go find it on ProQuest as well. But it doesn't mean that there isn't some sort of relevance to this study. So you might find some use for it. Yeah, this is a dissertation. But this isn't going to hold up the same as someone else who's not writing a dissertation. Okay, so I'm going to back up. I could keep this if I want to look at it later, but I also have to understand if my bar is it has to be peer-reviewed, this isn't. Okay. A program evaluation of the 1-1 Chromebook initiative in a rural school district in Virginia. Okay. High school, middle school students, Chromebooks, 1-to-1. Here's some subject-specific terms that have to do with the subject matter. Okay, I'm sorry, Ernest. Parentheses or quotes? What's your question? We'll wait for that to come through. Okay, so 1-to-1 is a term meaning one computer for one student. So if you're researching something like this, that's what would pop up. I'm sorry I didn't see your question earlier, Ernest. Okay, I'll double check the operator. Okay, if I was saying it wrong, quotation marks, not parentheses. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. So what it does, Boolean operator, it tells Google, look for these words, but the way you indicate that is this way. Let me show you another way to do it. I'm going to go to, let's see, these 3 lines that you see in the corner here. They call it a hamburger menu. You click on that. I'm going to pull up advanced search. This is another way to narrow it down. So right now, high school was an exact phrase because I put it in quotation marks. E-learning and Chromebooks, because it was one word, I didn't separate it differently. So this is what the computer sees. All right, look for all these words and look for this exact phrase. So everything in my almost 459 results, this is what it saw. I can also narrow it down by, I want to see this in the title. I want to have a certain author. All ways that we can narrow it down. I'm glad that helped, Ernest. Okay, so, and I could search it this way. So what we did, this is what the computer is seeing. So let's search Chromebooks, high school, in the title. Let's see what that pops up. Okay, so I'm gonna hit this, and I got 1. That sure narrowed it down, didn't it? The effect of Chromebooks on disciplinary literacy in the high school social studies classroom. So there are 3 layers. This isn't something everyone does, but you can identify it. Okay, effect of Chromebooks, disciplinary literacy, high school social studies classroom. So if I pulled this up, it would talk about how, again, you see 1-to-1 was used in this specific situation, which might be relevant to my made-up topic. Yeah. So I can open this up. This is not distance learning, though. This is technology being used inside of a normal classroom. So if I wanted to look at how effective this is somewhere else, I would need to change how this looks. All right. So Brockport EDU, College of Brockport State University, New York. This is something that it found on their servers, published by one of their own, Joseph Yockel. I could be saying that wrong. This is someone's thesis as they're working on a master's degree. Okay, so again, a thesis, just like a dissertation, it's a really big paper. It's not peer-reviewed. So, but we have access to it, so we can pull this up if we want to look at it. Very cool. Partial fulfillment of the degree. Okay, so we can read this study that this author put together. Awesome. So one of the big struggles that many people are going to find as they do something like this is that you're going to run into that wall where you're looking for something and you can't find what you need, or you can't you don't have access to the thing that you're looking for. Like I said at the beginning of this video, it's obviously not your fault. It's also just how things are, right? Even if you're university, let's say you're a student at College of Brockport, and they have online databases. Great. They aren't paying for everything in the world. You might find something that is just the perfect source for what you need to do, and you won't be able to access it. That's unfortunately the world of research. But it's better than it's ever been, with so many sources being digitized and universities just having to pay for access. It makes it so much easier to find things. And if you're researching something that other people are also interested in, you're probably going to find plenty of sources out there. You don't have to look up everything, but if you do find let me show you something. If you do find lots of people doing something, it's probably a sign that it's worth looking at. Okay, let's look at these quotation marks here. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Actually, let me... Okay, right here. Cite. This is going to show you how to cite it, which is awesome. MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, Vancouver. This is good. Related articles. Other things that they think are relevant to what you just found, which is awesome. That narrows it down. What I want to see... here we go. Cited. It wasn't showing up on all of them. So it didn't find that all these sources had been used somewhere else. But if we find this study from 2018, it's on Elsevier, cited 34 times, and I can pull up and I can see them, that's a good sign. If it's been cited several times, other people think this is a good source. So if you can find that someone else has cited something, that's a good start. Okay, so are there any specific questions anyone has? Otherwise, we could probably call this good for now. I'll sit for just a bit. I'm sorry that we had a lot of bitteriness throughout this video. I apologize for that. Can anyone tell me how clear were the words on the screen? Were they legible? Could you read them? Because this affects like the resolution for the video that I'm sending out, if that's useful or not. Anyway, I have to wait because when I ask a question, there's a delay in the video between when I say it and when you get to see it. It just takes a bit. All right. Well, I think we'll call this good for now. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Thank you so much. I know there's some technical issues with Livestream, but the good part is we can connect in ways... Okay, so the text is hard to see. Yeah. If you think it's better for me to just record a video, because then we don't have to worry about resolution, then maybe that's your thing. I do have another video. I can probably just show you this. Lots of YouTube channels. I can show you this. Okay. On my channel, Read Write Cite, under videos, I do have a video where I basically explain a lot of what we did today. It's right here, how to find sources on Google Scholar. That is probably going to be higher resolution, and it covers a lot of the same things that we talked about today. So, hope. Yeah, the website was hard to see. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this right here would go through everything. Yeah, we'll try to figure out how to make sure that this works. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so hopefully they I can figure out how to make sure that the stream doesn't drop as much and it's on the same par with videos. Otherwise, there are now over 100 videos on the channel. We just passed 2,700 subscribers, so thank you everybody who's watching this. I think I love seeing the comments for the teachers who are using it with their students, for students who are like, this is great, this really helped me understand something out. I really appreciate everyone who makes comments. I do my best to try and respond. There's been a little bit of spam lately, which is probably a good thing, right? It shows that we're getting some people's attention. Spam from a bot, not from people. I appreciate what people have to say. So thank you so much. I'm going to do this again on Tuesday. If there is a topic you'd like for me to cover, either through a live stream or a standalone video, let me know in the comments. You can, of course, you can also check out the website. readwritesite.com. I try to link all the things. You can go up to the top and you can see, oh, I want to see something about writing. Boom. I've got all the videos on writing. It kind of narrows things down for you. Feel free to check it out. I am recording some of these videos and I'm just putting them out as a podcast. So you can go to Apple and just search Read Write Insight. Boom. It's going to pop up. Yeah. So anyway, you can find the stuff lots of places, and if there's something specific you'd like for me to talk about, just let me know. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next live stream.